All right, Danny, I wanted to continue our conversation about a few Broncos training camp questions. Like I said, we went over the offense a lot yesterday, talked about second wide receiver, running backs, O-line, Ingram, all the things that we need to talk about with the Broncos. Can Sean remember to, run the ball, which I still have some worries about. But now let's focus on the other side of the football. This defense that was absolutely outstanding for 14 weeks of the NFL season last year. And it's not like they were a dumpster fire in the final 4 weeks, but they did have a pretty significant drop-off. Let's start with their 63 sacks. That led the NFL last year. It was the most that the Broncos have ever achieved as a team in an entire NFL season. Of course, you get the extra game now. Now, can they get to that number again? That's a pretty big damn number, Danny.
It's a giant number.
I don't know that I'm going to bank on them getting 63 sacks or even beating that mark. But can they be between 55 and 60? I think they can and should be in that range.
If they're over 50, that's a kind of a magic number. Anything above 50. It's hard to, sacks, they come, it's not like interceptions and it's not quite like fumbles that are more unpredictable. If you have that, great depth, like the Broncos have, that really helps you in games where you're just coming at guys a little bit fresher than, your opposition. And I think the magic number is 50+. To get to that gigantic number again, that's tough to do. And then you look at the numbers as a whole. Nick Bonitto is either going to level up or be a perennial 13 or 14 sack guy, or maybe, like we said, and maybe why he's not signed to that extension, regresses to being a 10-sack guy, okay? But maybe those couple extra sacks are made up somewhere else. So what I hope is that Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonitto, we know how good Zach Allen is, Franklin Myers, I hope these guys are like a poor man's Vaughn, Derek Wolfe, and Malik Jackson, guys like that, So that's kind of my thought on the defensive line. I wouldn't really trade them for anybody. I love them, okay? They have a chance to be one of the best. They will kind of set the tone, and they're good, bro.
I'm looking at what their totals were a year ago. They had 6 players get at least 5 sacks.
DJ Jones is underrated, too.
DJ Jones is on this list.
Good player.
Just 1 sack for him, but the pressure's there. Drew Sanders with just 1 sack. He's going to have a bigger role this season. Cody Barton's no longer around. Malcolm Roach is going to be a big player here. Justin Trinad's probably not going to get a ton of opportunity, but you look at what that could turn in for a Greenlaw or a Singleton when they get an opportunity to blitz.
They drafted a guy, Savion Jones. Savion Jones. Yeah. So, that room's solid as a rock.
I mean, you're looking at between Bonitto, Cooper, Allen, Franklin Myers, DeAndre Tillman, and Jonah Ellis, those were all the players that had at least 5.
Yeah. I like the idea of Jonah Ellis. We'll see, I like the idea of him and all the things we kind of heard about him over the last year. Defensive line's looking good.
I mean, just between those talented 6 players, we got close to 50 sacks last year.
Tons of returning guys. It's not based off of just the production of one. Like, it's all built around TJ Watt type of defense or defensive line. Lots of ways to hurt you, man. It's sending the young. Well, they got a couple older guys.
Yeah.
DJ Jones, older guy. Zach Allen's older guy. But Nick Bonitto, man, he's kind of the centerpiece. If he can, replicate 14 or 15 sacks, man, what that does for, when you can count on that, a sack a game, half of those are going to be real kind of crucial game or drive-ending sacks.
Right.
And then we know he's a big play guy. So he does that again, we're talking about bona fide, solidified top 15 defensive player of the year candidate.
And getting paid.
And you got Patrick Surtain in that same defense.
Yep.
And you got all these other, cats.
Well, what you're talking about, like I think Bonitto, you go up a sack and a half, 2 sacks to get to close to 15, 16. Cooper jumps up a sack or 2. Cooper's not going to get a bunch of more sacks, but he's good in the run stopping aspect of his job. That's, we're talking about 25-something sacks or so between just those 2 guys. Can Zach Allen get to 9.5 instead of 8.5? Can John Franklin Myers turn 7 into 8? I think the bigger jumps come from Tillman and Jonah Ellis. Guys that had 5 sacks.
Well,
I could see Jonah Ellis, the guy that has like 8.5 sacks this year.
Every guy can't have better numbers like the receiving room. Every guy can't level up. So 1 or 2 or 3 of these guys we're talking about, sack numbers are going to regress, but you hope they're replaced by some of these young guys. So, the defensive line is really good.
Yep.
And it feels and it projects like they're going to be good for the next 2 or 3 years, and then at that point everything kind of changes. You know, can change. But this is not like a one and done. This isn't like the end of a really good defensive line. They're right in the middle, the midst of being one of the 5 or 6 best defensive lines in the league. Let's go.
One of my, I think it's maybe unfair to call it a concern, because then I'm just worried about injury, and it's football and it's 100% injury rate.
Okay.
But the inside linebacker depth, or really lack thereof,
Oh yeah.
that's a big reason to be worried.
If Dre Greenlaw doesn't kind of work out, and I have to say that's a 75% likelihood.
Well, that it doesn't work?
No, works.
Oh, okay.
25% potential bust rate.
Okay.
According to my calculations.
I think that's fair.
Hold on, let me run those numbers again. Boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. Yeah, I got those same numbers.
Yeah,
75% that this works, and 25% kind of bust rate. If he hits, man, the leadership stuff, the athlete at the position that we haven't had, he will be quite a difference maker. He's a dog.
Yes, he is. Justin Stronach is not it at inside linebacker, and I'm still curious, intrigued, whatever word you want to use, to see what Drew Sanders is at inside linebacker.
Yeah.
But again, he's dealt with injury. He's bounced around at a couple different spots, what hurt more than it helped. Let's see what he looks like as a full-time inside linebacker with limited
That's the
opportunities.
area of we need to address and invest in over the next few years as we're ascending to Super Bowl contention.
When have the
though.
Broncos ever put an emphasis on inside linebacker?
Oh my God! Who's the last good one they had? Someone mentioned him. Danny Trevathan.
Danny Trevathan,
Was there anyone kind of in between there? I mean, the Broncos have a great history of having really unique and tons of talented linebackers, but it didn't feel like that lately. It feels like it's a big hole, or just kind of like
DJ Williams.
Oh man, DJ Williams was sweet.
Yeah,
What's that brand he had? Dime
Life.
Yeah,
Dime Life with the rose or whatever.
Yeah, he yelled at me one time in the locker room.
For what?
Just kind of asked him a question, like kind of again in a different way. He goes, I just said that. But do you know what? He gave me a quote when everyone was afraid to go up and talk to him.
Oh,
at
really?
That time. Yeah,
He was intimidating.
I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Darn life, dog. Let's go.
That's right. You're like, what are you going to do? Punch me in the face? I'll be the next Jim Rome, you know?
And then one guy was like, don't go over there. He might punch you in the face.
It worked out for everyone.
Yeah.
Hey, let me remind you, today from noon to 1, it is our giveaway of a limited edition shirt. So make sure you're getting to denversports.com/shirt to find out where they are for you.
Nice.
I tried mine on last night because I finally got mine. Looked good. Felt good.
Man, you got to fill his shirt.
That's right. So I'm fired up for that. First Bank, banking for good, fired up to be partnered with them. We still have, a handful of defensive questions to answer. Want to talk about Vance Joseph, want to talk about CB2, and safeties. I don't think we've talked a lot about safeties with Brandon Jones, not the new guy anymore, but Hufanga being the new guy and also having to recover and stay healthy to contribute this year. So we will get back to that a little later on in the show.